In this video, I will demonstrate importing a standard format file with two glossing languages. You can see that each of my records consists of an Indonesian word, and then there are glosses in both English and French. Now notice that the markers are not standard MDF markers, but we'll get to that in a minute. And as an added bonus, one of the entries has been edited to have two sets of glosses because it has two meanings. And again, we'll get to that later. My empty project has been set up to have Indonesian as the vernacular writing system and both English and French as the analysis writing systems. There are two glossing languages. So I will go through File, Import, Standard Format Lexicon, and then I will navigate to the file that I want to import. And as usual, for the settings, it tries to use the MDF default, but it will save it with a file with my database name. Now, it's guessing about the vernacular label and the English label because these are writing systems in my project. My project does have French in it, but it doesn't know what to assign it to. Now, I could use one of these labels. For instance, if I were in the Philippines, a national language would be Tagalog, and a regional language might be Cebuano or Ilocano. But in this case, I will add one. I can make up any label I want, and I will just call it French, but it wouldn't have to be that. And then I can choose from any of the writing systems that are in my project, and I want to use French. And I don't need to convert it from Windows 1252. It is already in Unicode. That gets all my writing systems set up and available for my settings choices. So I will move on to the page where we map the markers. And because it's using the MDF default map, it only recognizes the LX. Now I have two glosses, and those are set to go into a special field called import residue. And that's a field where Flex puts things where it doesn't know what to do with. And it also makes comments if there were things that didn't match. And I prefer to use that field for the Flex comments and not to map any data to. So I'm going to modify this. And first I have to untick the box that tells it to go into import residue. And then I'm looking for gloss over here. Now this is organized by hierarchy. Gloss is not at the entry level, it's at the sense level. So I need to scroll down. There are several different clusters in the hierarchy. And when I get to sense, then under the sense cluster, I can find gloss. Now it's not enough to choose only the field over here. I also have to look at the language descriptor. Please don't forget that part. And it's defaulting to French, which is wrong because I'm working on the English marker. So here I will tell it to choose English for the gloss field, because again, the gloss field can be in one of two languages. So that's good for now. So I will choose that. And then on the French gloss, I will do the same thing. Untick import residue, scroll down to the sense level, choose gloss, double check the language. I want French. That's good. I will click OK. And again, I will confirm the language and the field for the field name. Okay, so now I can move forward, but all of that was crucial, incredibly important. And again, here it's trying to ask about the hierarchy. It knows the entry begins with an LX, but what begins a sense? Now, if I didn't know what order the English and French glosses were in, I could tick both boxes. But I know that the English gloss is always before the French in this particular SFM data. The fewer fields you tick, the more constrained your data is, and the more likely it is to be accurate. So I will tick English, and this will affect the entry that has more than one sense. So I will click Next and go on. No character mapping here. I will generate the report, but for this, it's not interesting. I will click Next. I don't need to see the final import report. I will click Finish. It goes through some phases, and there is my data. And you can see over here that the gloss has both an English field and a French field, and they are both filled in. And for the entry that had two senses, it has properly figured out that there are two senses, and it put one pair of glosses in the first sense and the other pair in the second one, and that had everything to do with the ordering and the field that explained the hierarchy. So that is how you import data with more than one gloss. And again, I do recommend making a backup at this point, just for good measure.